Hey y'all, welcome to a new episode of New Fire Medical Chinese. Thanks to all the subscribers, you're making the show go on. Share the video with your friends, pulling more people into the learning wagon. In this episode, let's look at the craniocerebral traumas again. Epidural hematoma, 硬脑膜外血肿. Subdural hematoma, 硬脑膜下血肿. Intraparenchymal contusion, 脑挫伤. Open skull fracture, 开放性颅骨骨折. Intracranial hypertension, 颅内高压. First up is epidural hematoma, 硬脑膜外血肿. Epidural hematoma, 硬脑膜外血肿. Epidural hematoma is when bleeding occurs between the tough outer membrane covering the brain and the skull. Often there is loss of consciousness following a head injury, a brief regaining of consciousness, and then loss of consciousness again. The cause is typically head injury that results in a break of the temporal bone and bleeding from the middle meningeal artery. Subdural hematoma, 硬脑膜下血肿. Subdural hematoma, 硬脑膜下血肿. So blood gathers between the inner layer of the dura mater and the arachnoid mater, usually resulting from tears in bridging veins which cross the subdural space. Subdural hemorrhages may cause an increase in ICP, which can cause compression of and damage to delicate brain tissue. Intraparenchymal contusion, 脑挫伤. Intraparenchymal contusion, 脑挫伤. It's a form of traumatic brain injury. It's actually a bruise on the brain tissue. Like bruises in other tissues, cerebral contusion can be associated with multiple microhemorrhages, small blood vessels that leaks into brain tissue. In the emergency setting, it may result in brain herniation, a life-threatening condition in which parts of the brain are squeezed past parts of the skull. Open skull fracture, 开放性颅骨骨折. Open skull fracture, 开放性颅骨骨折. A skull fracture is a break in one or more of the 8 bones that form the cranial portion of the skull, usually occurring as a result of blunt force trauma. Also known as a compound fracture, an open fracture occurs when the skin is broken and the bone emerges. Intracranial hypertension, 颅内高压. Intracranial hypertension, 颅内高压. ICP is the pressure inside the skull and thus in the brain tissue and cerebrospinal fluid. ICP is measured in millimeters of mercury and at rest is normally 7 to 15 millimeters of mercury for a supine adult. Alright, well, let's close this session and thank you all again. You are making this show go on. And if you like the videos, leave me a line. See you next time.
Created using Powtoon.